Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 9, The Ascent. Quark and Odo have to climb an enormous mountain or die trying. Jake and Nog have to learn to live with each other.
What did you think of this one?
Well, I enjoyed it. It's probably my personal favorite episode of the whole show, to be honest.
Whoa, really?
Oh, I love this one. Yeah, it's not the best episode in the lot, although it's really good. But it's got a lot of things that I really like. What did you think? Because if you hated it, then this is going to be awkward.
Oh, I liked it a lot too, but I'm surprised to hear you say it's one of your favorites.
It's probably my favorite overall. But you know when you have like something you just like, you know it's not the best one ever, but it's just something that you find fun or whatnot. Like maybe you really like, I don't know, pasta or something.
Just something that speaks to you in all the specific ways.
Yeah. Well, this episode is that thing of Deep Space Nine for me. Oh, it's a great episode though. Come on, it's really good. Or is it?
Yeah, it's really good. I'll give you that. What specifically do you really like about this episode above all others?
Well, I've said before, I like it when characters better themselves and do things out of others' expectations. And Quark is the ultimate underdog in this respect. And what's more, he does it powered off pure hatred. Everyone looks down on Quark. Even Quark looks down on Quark. But when someone is pushed to the limit, you can see what they're really made of. I don't know. Watching it again, though, I forgot how slow-paced it is. I didn't really remember a lot of the Jake Nog stuff. Well, I remembered it, but I didn't realize it was in this episode.
Jake and Nog slow it down a bit, but it doesn't. The episode isn't worse for it. It complements the other storyline well enough. It's not too much of an intrusion.
Well, it helps because the Jake Nog storyline is about them grinding each other's gears over a period of days. It helps give the sense that time is passing, so that they didn't have to overuse montages.
That's a good point, because otherwise we don't really have a sense of time passing, because they are always in the daytime and get a little bit dirtier as they go on.
They did some clever stuff. There's one scene where I think Quark says he'll carry the transmitter, and you see him putting it on, and it fades to Odo carrying it, which is a very quick way to give the impression that a lot of time has passed, because you don't even see Quark's turn, it's already back to Odo, so it must be hours and hours later.
That's a good touch. And they do get more ragged as time seemingly progresses.
Yeah, just a bit.
You know,
wrecked by the end.
a bit of a broken leg.
So you said you wanted to see how Odo would deal with being a solid, and here's your answer.
He's just as prone to breaking his legs as the rest of us.
Well, yes, but I meant more. He was angry and frustrated.
Oh, yeah, that too. I like that it comes from Quark pointing out, hey, this is what you always wanted. He knows Odo really well. he's his best friend as much as he wants to pretend that he hates him. So it's nice that Quark recognizes that and points it out.
So this episode didn't convince you that they hate each other?
No, it did the opposite.
They explicitly state that they hate each other. And
then laugh about it.
Confirm it. They have a very passionate relationship. I'm just not sure it's a positive one. Well, I'm pretty sure it's negative. They are frenemies, and this is the episode of frenemies.
I also like when they are trading insults that Quark calls him a fascist, because Odo totally is a fascist, and no one ever talks about him in that way. They always talk about, oh, Odo loves justice and all that, but he's really about controlling people and having people live as he wants. There's a darker side to it, and no one addresses it until now. So I was really glad to hear Quark shout fascist.
Earlier on, you could have maybe sort of said it was a grey area, but since we've met the founders and seen what Odo's family is like, it's pretty clear. He's a little bit of a Nazi about certain things, such as people's rights.
He has Nazi tendencies.
But he's a damn good cop.
That's because he reads erotica.
Yeah. It wasn't clear that that was a detective novel.
No.
I personally believe Odo was covering his tracks by saying it was a detective novel.
I took that scene as Odo reading erotica and labeling it as detective novel when it clearly isn't.
There's nothing wrong with reading erotica.
I'm not judging him.
Well, he has to learn how to love. Passionately.
And physically.
Well, presumably, he's got urges like any solid.
I wonder if he's reading books about being a human, because he would have all this stuff going on inside of him, and no one is guiding him.
Do people really write books like that?
Sure, for children. You know, like Everybody Poops.
That was an REM song.
I wouldn't be surprised. Another great thing that Quark points out when he asks Odo which one of us is the bigger failure, because Odo keeps insulting Quark and how he's terrible and good for nothing. But then that just means Odo's terrible because he hasn't been able to nail him for anything.
I don't think they're failures though. Odo's not. He's not.
Oh, I'm not agreeing that they're failures, but I liked his retort.
It's clever. Quark is just a bartender, and Odo is just a mall cop. They're tied up in their own little world of intrigue and suspense, when in reality, Quark just sometimes buys things that fell off the back of a truck. And Odo says, "Oi, stop it."
So they both have delusions of grandeur?
Yeah, Odo sees himself as hotshots in his novels, and Quark sees himself as Grand Nagus.
That's why they're such great friends. They have respective, distorted realities.
They both suffer from a lack of perspective. Just like in the scene where they crest the hill, only to find that the mountain is pretty much the same size as it was from the runabout, which is very, very cool. Quark points out something that's kind of unique to Deep Space Nine that other Star Trek series don't really have.
I can't go any further. Cisco were here, do you think he'd give up? Or Worf? Or Dax?
They're not here.
That's right. It's just us.
We don't have the Starfleet triumph in this. This wouldn't have worked if it was Cisco and Dax, or... I mean, aside from they would get along, they would just triumphantly say, yeah, we're going to the top of the mountain, and boogaloo on.
Yeah, it wouldn't strike the same chord.
Yeah, because all the Starfleet guys are kind of like superheroes. They can do it every time. They will manage. They will find a way. Deep Space Nine is unique because it has flawed characters that are kind of rubbish. Like, Quark is kind of a scummy person, really. He is. He's a skis. He's mean, cruel, really doesn't forge relationships with anyone.
Constantly scheming.
Yeah, so when he gets kicked down, it is a bit rubbish. And regular people can end up in rubbish situations. And you can't just say, oh, well, what if you were Superman, you big baby? And then Quark proves them all wrong, because every dog has his day, and this episode is Quark's day.
It's interesting when they make you root for Quark, because he is kind of a terrible person, and they've established that. And yet they can come up with these scenarios where, hey, I want him to win, whatever win means.
If they have you rooting for Quark, then they've done something right, because he rarely deserves the luck he gets. So the Jake Nog storyline was a bit weak.
One is slovenly, one is not. They are put together. What happens?
Jake is messy to a ridiculous level. How could you make that much mess in 9 hours without doing it deliberately? Oh, maybe he did it deliberately.
Oh, I didn't even think of if he did it deliberately. That would be really funny.
That seems overly spiteful and mean. It seemed like he's just carelessly scattered stuff around, but there was like 7 or 8 changes of clothes lying around. Is he hourly changing clothes?
You don't have an outfit for every hour?
I barely have an outfit for every day. And Nog's just as bad. He says, all right, we'll get up at 4:30 to hit the gyms. But that's not a thing someone would say to a roommate intending to keep the roommate as a roommate.
That's something you do to drive away a roommate.
Instantly, yes.
Well, when you don't want to take the time to show how these two guys would clash as roommates, you have to make their actions absurd so you could fast track the disagreements. But it comes off so goofy.
I don't think you need to make it absurd. They could have just done it better. Rather than saying, oh, let's get up at 4:30 to hit the gym, why not just have Jake waking up at 4:30 because Nog is lifting weights? And he'd be like, oh, it's 4:30, what are you doing? I'm hitting the gym. Oh, okay, I'm going to make a mess over here, etc. You know, you could play it a bit more realistically than one of them has turned into Mr. T and the other one's turned into, I don't know, someone who's just smashing up their quarters repeatedly.
It's really annoying how slovenly Jake is, because how easy it is to be clean and live on your own in this future. You don't have to make any food. You just stick it in that little slot and then it disappears. You don't have to do any dishes. It's ridiculous.
I presume it's like the bottle bank where you can just throw the dishes in and smash them to pieces, and that's fine because they're getting de-replicated.
All the energy is still there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're in bits. The other strange thing is that Jake isn't like that when he's living with his dad. Although now that I've said that, I realise there may be another reason for that, in that Cisco would kick him sideways. Can I just point out something super cool about the Jake Nog plotline?
Yes.
He was lifting weights and they were adjustable weights.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's a perfect sci-fi thing. That is technology we do not have, but as soon as that could be invented, that would be the first application of it.
Yeah, immediately. That's the first thing to market.
There's a little bit of prop design that just made it feel really sci-fi. Reminded you they're living in the future. Also, I'd like to point out that Cisco's solution to the problem of Jake and Nog's lifestyles was seriously just to pull rank on both of them.
Oh man, that was so funny. He pulled the captain card and the dad card at the same time.
Such a weak solution, though.
I know, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to deal with this in a real way, so I'm going to pull rank on both of you in different ways.
It kind of seemed like he was going to do something clever. He was talking to Rom like, yeah, I've got a clever idea. He just gets them both there and says, right, deal with it.
That convo with Rom made me think, this is really strange. Let me preface it with that they were imagining some kind of meld between their sons where they would create one ultimate son who had both the best traits.
That's the fallacy of the golden mean.
Also, Rom extracting blood from Nog while he was sleeping is really funny.
Is it that? Well, the way Ron played it was quite funny, but it is a bit weird.
Oh, super weird and inappropriate. But the
He's
way Rom
Ferengi,
played
though.
it, yeah.
I love Rom's mannerisms. It's really kind of alien. Plus, he's waiting 8 hours for the blood to change.
Speaking of mannerisms, I want to compliment the actor for Nog. He plays... Yes, him. He plays Nog very differently now to show the changes he's made since being at Starfleet. And it shows he doesn't talk the same way. His hand movements are different. He comes off as having been changed and shaped by Starfleet. So good job there.
He's actually Nog is played by a professional actor. It is good though. It's good to get Nog back. We've been missing the Jake and Nog storylines. Well, I don't know if missing is the right word. They've been absent from the show.
There you go. We've been Nogless.
And now we will be Nogful.
I kind of laughed when Cisco told Jake, as Jake was set to leave.
You and Nog moving in together. I can remember when I didn't even want you talking to him.
Him being Nog, and I thought, yeah, right now, because I doubt you shed those feelings.
Yeah, it's only been a couple episodes since he was last hateful towards the Ferengi.
That is some deep-seated hate. There's no way he's smoothed that over.
He's maybe okay with Nog now, because he's been through the academy, so he's become a little federale.
Once you've been assimilated to my ways, then I will accept you.
Do you have an uplifting quote for us? Because get it uplifting, because they lifted a thing up a mountain.
Got it. Don't you get it? I'm not trying to save you. I'm taking you along as emergency rations. If you die, I'm gonna eat you.
Okay.
Been a while since I selected something outright goofy.
It's great that Quark even needs a cover story for why he's helping Odo.
Yeah, even in that moment where they are alone on this planet, close to death, he still can't drop the pretense that he hates Odo.
You can't have even a shred of humanitarian decency for a fellow life form.
Which is great. It's good character building.
Their relationship is like an onion, but every layer is hatred. As you peel back the layers, you just find more and more hatred, and you start crying.
Tears of blood.
Caused by the onion.
Because there's so much hate drifting into your nostrils.
And into your eyes, because it's an onion.
Shall we see what further onions we find?
By onions, are we now talking about episodes?
Yes.
In which case, yes, but that analogy makes no sense.
All of these episodes are packed with onions.
Now, what? The onion is because of the layers? Layers of... Never mind. Let's just watch the next one.
Yes, let's do that.
Also, onion is very close to Orion.
Okay.
Never mind.